Welcome back to Tech Sun Conference. If you are new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. We explore tech concepts with real life relatable analogies. Let me explain what has happened during a recent hotel stay for a work trip. So, on this work trip, something very odd happened. Two of us stood at the same door, it's same hotel and same check-in, but one card only worked, the other did not. So at the time it felt just confusing, but later I realized this is exactly how many systems behave. And it's usually not an authentication problem. So what's the problem then? That's what we are going to understand through this video. Let's dive in. If you have been following the previous videos, we did discuss about authentication, authorization, and in fact, OAuth and JWT. So we did go through all of this before, but there was still something fuzzy until that hotel moment made it click. So at hotel check-in, authentication is pretty straightforward. We show our ID and then they verify it and then we get a key card. At that point, the hotel has answered one question. Yes, you are a real guest. So when we use the same key card, let's understand we checked it the same desk, same process and same kind of key card. But access inside the hotel told a different story. That's same authentication, but different outcome. So this feels now like, let me add context to what you already saw. The problem was not the key card. The problem was what the hotel believed that card meant. So what it means basically. So it is all about what details have been provided. So at the time of booking, one would have chosen executive stay, one would have chosen standard stay. So there is a difference between the stay type, right? So it ties back to what the person has to pay as well. So that is exactly what's the difference is. And so that's where authentication proved we are real, but identity defined who we are inside that hotel. In summary, at the hotel check-in, they check you are a real guest and they hand over a key card. And when the key card has been utilized, the door has been rejecting the access, and why it is happening is down to what has been utilized when the booking has been made, whether it is an executive or a standard. So for example, for an executive, it might allow access to the lounge, whereas for a standard, it doesn't allow. So that's exactly what has happened right now. So cloud systems work the same way. Authentication gives you a token, but that token does not magically explain who you are or what you should be allowed to do. When a system authenticates into cloud, it usually gets a token. So that's where JWT comes into picture. Inside that token are the claims. Things like who issued it, that is ISS, who it represents, and who it's meant for, and how long it's valid, that is EXP, expiry. These claims are structured, they are signed, and they are verifiable. And that's where many systems stop. They see a valid signature, a trusted issuer, and unexpired token, and they relax. But this point, all you really know is that the token is authentic, but you still don't know what it should mean here. Identity only forms when your system starts asking harder question. What does this subject mean to me? Do I trust this issuer for this use case? Was this token actually meant for this service? Identity is not a protocol. It is the interpretation of those claims. This is where claims often get misunderstood. A claim is not a fact, it is an input. The same claim can be safe in one service, ignored in other, but dangerous in wrong place. Identity breaks when claims are treated as universal truth instead of context contextual signals. So where does authorization come into picture? So authorization comes after all of this. So OAuth is really good at enforcing decisions, but it does not decide who you are. If identity is misunderstood, OAuth will still enforce the wrong decision perfectly. To put in cloud summary terms, when we have a system authenticated, the cloud gives a JWT, and obviously that carries list of claims. So those claims mean an identity of what this system is allowed to do within the system. And when OAuth comes into picture, it simply verifies whether this particular identity has got permissions, and it enforces decisions, but it doesn't decide who you are. If the identity is misunderstood, then OAuth will simply enforce the wrong decision and in a perfect way. So that's where the identity plays a vital role, and it is a contextual signal in terms of understanding what this particular token is meant for. And it should not be treated as a universal truth. So the key takeaway is authentication produces a token that is basically giving you something valid, and identity is what your system decides that thing represents. And authorization just enforces that decision.